blanket. Get comfy. You just tooted. And she's gone. You're a little camera shy. A little nervous. Say hello to the people. Say hello. Hello and welcome to my channel. I haven't talked to the camera today, but I wanted to say hello. I had a nail appointment this morning, so I was just kind of rushing out the door to make it for that. But now I can sit down and we can chat and I can properly say hello and welcome you to the video. I wanted to vlog this weekend. I know one of my goals for 2025 is to make more vlogs and practice. Hopefully it'll feel less intimidating. But it's Saturday and I woke up this morning and it was snowing and I was like brushing my teeth and I just like happened to glance out the window. And I was like, is that snow? So yeah, it's been snowing here this morning and we haven't gotten that much snow, so it was kind of nice to be out walking around in the snow. But now I'm back home and I don't have any weekend plans. I am fully going to hibernate and stay home and take it easy. I really want to spend a lot of time reading this weekend. I just realized I don't have the book with me, but the book cover's here. So I have... This is just the sleeve. I'm currently reading Migrations by mcconaghy and very much so enjoying this. I actually don't know how many pages in I am. I think I definitely hit the 100-page mark. The writing has been amazing. And as I'm reading, there's like so many times where something is like kind of mentioned and I'm like, what? What do you mean? Can we explore that a little bit? I'm sure it'll come together in the end, but there's so much that is like gripping me, because I want to know more about our main character, what she's going through, what she's been through, and all of that. For the synopsis, we're basically following this main narrator. I don't remember her name. Franny Stone. She's basically following these birds and she has like tagged them so that she can like monitor where they're going to, like where they're going to migrate to. She arrives in remote Greenland with one purpose: to find the world's last flock of Arctic terns and track their final migration. So she basically finds this like captain of this boat and convinces them to let her join them on their boat so that they can follow these birds, and they're very hesitant. She's very like against fishing. She sees like the impacts of overfishing on the environment and then in turn all these animals and birds. It's interesting seeing like their relationship and how they interact with each other and how they like don't understand each other necessarily, or how they're trying to understand each other. I recently watched The Outrun with Saoirse Ronan, and in The Outrun we're basically following Rona, and this is based off of her memoir, but basically Rona is an alcoholic and she's trying to be sober, and we're watching her as she's navigating that. But also there's a lot of like discussion around the ocean and these birds that she's kind of trying to track that they think are probably extinct. They're not necessarily about the same topic, but I think that while I'm reading Migrations, a lot of like the scenery of The Outrun is playing out in my head, and I don't know, I just think it's really interesting, like the timing of me watching that movie and this one. I see a lot of similarities. I really love The Outrun. If you've been curious about that movie, I highly recommend it. I thought that Saoirse Ronan did an amazing job. The scenery was beautiful, and I really want to read the memoir that it's based off now. But yeah, I'm currently reading Migrations and I'll probably update you as I go. So good so far. Ivana read it and I remember she like told me that she flew through it, and I can totally see why. I just haven't had enough time to just like sit and read, but it has been so good. So I'm really glad that I'm starting off this year with this book. I also finally finished the Book of Delights. Loved it. So we're off to a good start. Hopefully today and tomorrow I can make a bit more of a dent in Migrations and hopefully like give you my final thoughts on it. We'll see how far I'm able to get. Something else, I recently got my Boston Public Library card, and for the longest time, Ivana was like, you should get a Boston Public Library card. You should get a BPL card. Why don't you get a BPL card? And I was like, I don't think I can, because I'm not like in Boston technically, I'm like right outside of it. But anyone who's a Massachusetts resident can get a Boston Public Library card. So I did that recently, and they're currently doing their winter reading challenge, and one of you actually commented on one of my videos asking if I was going to participate in it, and because I didn't have a BPL card, I was like, oh, I don't think I can. But now I am participating, so I'm really excited. I actually am going to put Migrations for this prompt, the Oceania prompt. I don't think I even said what the winter reading challenge is. It's reading around the world. So I have to read a book by an author that's from Africa, the Americas, Asia, Europe, the Middle East, and Oceania. And the author of Migrations is currently based in Sydney, Australia. So it fits for that prompt. And I'm just excited to do this challenge. I think it's really fun. And I don't know, I also got a cute little pin that says winter reading. So cute. So yeah, if you are a Massachusetts resident and want to get a Boston Public Library card, I highly recommend it. It was really easy and they were so friendly, and I'm excited to go and check out books from the Boston Public Library. It's also such a beautiful library, so I'm really excited about that. But yeah, I think that's all I have for updates. I'm excited to just like sit in my reading chair and like look out the window. I don't think I shared it on booktube, but I got a rocking chair and it was just like on the sidewalk. Someone was just like getting rid of it, and I love it. I think it's so cute, but the problem with like where it's in my bedroom, and there's like a giant tree that's outside of the window. So during like the fall and summer, there's like no lighting, like no good lighting in there. So I don't tend to sit there, but now that it's winter, there's a bit more lighting that comes through. So I'll probably sit and read there for a bit. I feel like with the holidays and everything, it was very go, go, go. And I'm excited to just like relax at home and be an introvert. But before I dive into reading, I did want to mention that I'll be including some like mutual aid resources and some GoFundMe'S for people that have lost their homes in the LA fires. It's been really heartbreaking and devastating to see like how much people have lost their homes, just gone overnight, and it's just been really hard to see, and I feel for all those families. It's also been really beautiful to see the community coming together for each other. I'm going to include all those resources down below for you. If you are able to give or donate to any of those GoFundMe's, please do. If you can share them, that would be really helpful too. So I'll include all of that down below. But let's get back into the video, and I will let you know my thoughts on migrations as I read. So I'll talk to you guys later. morning. I have not talked to the camera all today, and it's 11:53, so almost not morning, but I didn't end up talking to the camera last night. I'm like by my window, so I'm probably gonna get very easily distracted. I don't know if this was a smart move for me. I didn't end up talking to the camera much last night. I just wasn't having a good evening. I just was not in a good headspace, so it was really nice to have this book to kind of really get lost in. And man, Migrations by McConaghy. It's been a great start to the year reading this book, and I just highly recommend it if you have been curious about it or if you haven't heard of it. I think that this is such amazing writing, such great characters. There's so many moments where I'm like, I don't know the direction that this is heading, or like something happens that I'm just like not expecting, and it's just been very gripping. It's not a long book either. I just have this much left to go, so I'm like pretty sure I'm going to finish it tonight. So I will give you my final thoughts, but like I don't think it's gonna change much. We'll see how the ending is. There's a lot of questions that I have that I'm curious to see how they get resolved, or like what gets covered. If you want a book to really like suck you in, I think that this one is a great one. It's really interesting being in the point of view of our main narrator, because she is just really reflective, and I think it's really beautiful how she talks about like the ocean and how she feels like she's connected to the ocean. There's a scene where she meets up with someone who I think is part of her family, if I'm not mistaken, and like how close she feels to them and how much love she feels like she has towards these people that are like essentially strangers, because she didn't know them for like most of her life. So I'm probably just gonna spend the rest of today reading this. I will check in a little bit and we can talk about my final thoughts on this book. And it has been a week later. I did not end up updating you after I finished Migrations, but I did want to kind of close this video out, give some final thoughts. Honestly, not too much has changed. I really enjoyed it. The ending was really, really sad and beautiful and hopeful. It was really good. So this is short, but there is so much that happens in this book. I feel like there's probably a lot that I've already forgotten. I grew really attached to the characters in this story. I grew really attached to Franny, and I loved her relationship with her husband. There were so many moments that he would say certain things to her, and I was just like, that is like the sweetest thing. So there is like romance in it. Overall, was shocked by this story, and I am excited to read anything else that Charlotte McConaghy writes. I have Once There Were Wolves on my shelves, and apparently she's coming out with a new book this year, so I am very excited for that to come out. But I did want to share some quotes. I was struggling to pick which one, so I have a bunch of different tabs, and we're just gonna pick a few. I'll give you a little taste of what her writing is like. I don't think I talked too much about this, but there's also a lot of grief that is covered in this story, so a lot around grief, climate change, migrating, and also her not feeling like she belongs anywhere, like she's always kind of floating around. She kind of feels like a bird that just can't stay in one place. I don't think I talked too much about the grief aspect of it, but that's also in this book. We are, all of us, given such a brief moment of time together. It hardly seems fair, but it's precious, and maybe it's enough. And maybe it's right that our bodies dissolve into the earth, giving our energy back to it, feeding the little creatures in the ground and giving nutrients to the soil. And maybe it's right that our consciousness rests. The thought is peaceful. Okay, and I know I mentioned that there's some lines from Niall that just I love him. But she says, I've never feared the sea. I have loved it with every breath of me, every beat of me. And then she got a letter from him once where he says, I am only the second love of your life, but what kind of moron would be jealous of the sea? And I just feel like he's so understanding, even though there's like so many times where she would be like, I gotta go somewhere. And she would just kind of like leave, and he would just wait, like he knew that she would come back. But very, very patient and very understanding. And then I think I'll read this one and I'll call it a day because I can't read all of these. She's talking about the captain, and I don't remember why, but they like have to use autopilot on the ship. Oh, there is no autopilot anymore, so he has to like use charts and compasses. She says, it is terrifying, all of it, and I can feel fear coming off the sailors and waves. Yet I can see in the captain a quiet kernel of passion sputtering to life, a return to the way the world once was. He doesn't know this ocean, and yet I think some ancient heart of him knows all oceans, the way some ancient heart of me does. So I think that's the last quote I'll share. I loved the writing. I loved the characters. I loved the story. It dug its claws into me and had me gripped the whole time. I just couldn't recommend this more. I can see this one sticking with me. Maybe not all the details because so much happened, but overall, like the feeling that it made me feel. So those are my final thoughts on Migrations. I feel like this year is off to a great start because I can see this one being a favorite of mine. I feel like January is always like a really good reading month, but that's all I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed this vlog. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me on this weekend. It was a bit of a weird weekend, but I hope that you enjoyed it. I will see you in my next video. Bye.